Check one, check two, check fuck, check you. Welcome to The Highway with Kyle Shutt. I am your host, Kyle Shutt. A little highway trivia for you here. This is actually the very first episode that I ever taped back when I had no idea what I was doing. I still don't know what I'm doing, but I called up my best friend in the world, Mr. Roky Moon, who happens to be a country legend. We got him on the program, and I wanted to just sort of test the waters and see what was going on. So this was a really fun conversation. We talked about just good old times on tour and what it means to hop in a van with your best friends and leave your whole life behind. It's a great idea. I highly recommend it. If you like what you've been hearing on the program, go ahead and give us a follow if you want, or subscribe where you can on our YouTube page, and all that jazz really helps us out. You know how it goes. The internet. Am I right? And if you want to go one step further, you can find us at patreon.com/thehighway, where you can get all sorts of crazy perks starting at $2 a month. Get yourself a shout out, early access to next week's episode, get a postcard in the mail from me, help me put some beer in the fridge. You know, if you do any of that, I'm going to love you forever. I'm going to love you forever anyway. But I'd like to give some extra special love this week to Rich Partain, Guy Witzel, Ty Purvis, Mr. McBurtsky, my boy Bert, Gary LaRoe, and my crazy uncle Trash Blood. He's got a great podcast too, Trash Blood podcast. He talks about all kinds of goofy stuff. Go check him out. And we must give mad love to our sponsors, Heil Sound. If you like the way I sound, it's because there's a Heil in front of me. I can't wait for y'all to hear this week's conversation with Roky Moon and all the ridiculous shit that we got into. So let's go ahead and get things started my way.
The Highway.
Hey, what's up, man? Yeah, we're doing it. This is the podcast test. The test cast. But it's going to work. I have a good feeling about it. So country legend Roky Moon, or you're an all-around rock and roll legend, really, when you think about it.
I guess I'm a little of both.
On the real though, let's talk about kind of how you and me got to know each other, because it was through a bunch of mutual friends and stuff. And for those of you out there that don't know, Roky Moon was the singer for one of my favorite bands of all time, American Sharks. And the way I found out about the band was through y'all's drummer, Nick Cornetti, who...
Right.
He would... He was just a kid I knew in the scene, and he would... every time I would see him, he would hand me a burned CD of... his latest band or whatever he was doing, and it was cool stuff. It was just kind of all over the place. But one day he handed me an American Sharks CD, and it was just it was the first 7-inch y'all put out. That was the Indian Man, and what was the B-side? The
XVI.
XVI, yeah. And I put it in my truck and was driving around running errands all day, and I listened to it probably 100 times. It was so good, and there wasn't a band like that at the time in Austin. Sort of when the Sword came up, there wasn't really like any real metal bands in Austin. There was like hardcore and there was punk and stuff like that, but we were the first kind of like, Sleep wasn't a band anymore. We were the first band that came around that kind of had that like kind of stoner metal, whatever you want to call it, vibe in Austin. Mm-hmm. And so whenever I heard the Sharks, it was just this whole new like just take on rock and roll at the time, and it was just awesome. It blew me away, and I really wanted to bring you guys on tour, mostly because I was friends with Nick. I didn't know you yet, but I got to know you real fast, because the first day of tour, whenever we had thrown you guys on, I think it was on the Apocryphon tour, right?
Yes.
Sort. I can't remember who else was playing on it, but
it was Gypsy Hawk.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm not laughing at Gypsy Hawk. It's just. There's so much history there. There's
a lot. But from day one, you just started making fun of me on stage, and you didn't even know me. I don't even know if we had met yet or anything, but I was just like, who is this motherfucker clowning me in front of everybody? Like, I loved it. I loved every minute of it. And I can't even remember the joke. You were like, it was Will's birthday or something like that, and I didn't get him a present.
I would tell people it was Will's birthday. Well, I would do two things. One, I would tell everybody that it was Will's birthday and that you guys didn't get him a present. that you didn't get him a present, and then I
you
would
do it
also
every
like
night. Like every night you do it in
yeah.
front of a different crowd. It got to be ridiculously hilarious by the end of the tour. Yeah.
Right. Well, and then in Seattle, we were playing at Numos, and I remember I went to go do the trick, the same thing every night, and all of a sudden it was you and Jimmy, I believe, came out on the stage. Nope, everybody, hold on. And you guys actually bought him a present, and it was like this color in, like those felt, color your own felt painting with markers thing, and it was actually really cool. I was like, this is awesome.
Give him something to do in the van. Yeah.
Right?
So,
yeah.
So I finally got him a present. But yeah, that was the beginning of a long line of just throwing each other under the bus and just having good times on tour. I'll never forget those days. I ended up managing you guys for a minute.
Yeah.
Not because I wanted to manage a band, but I remember that you were all talking about somebody managing you. And I was like, no, do not do that. I will manage your band before anybody like that will. And you guys were like, you'll manage our band? I was like, fine, let's do it. And that was fun. I did it for like a year and a half or something. I don't know. You guys got to the point where you just kind of didn't need me anymore. You know, you were doing your own tours, had a record deal in place and stuff. And it was just, I don't know. It was important for me to, I don't want to say reach down, but just, kind of reach back a little bit and help some people get off the ground that really needed a hand. Because it's tough out there on the open road in this music industry, or at least it was back then. I don't even want to talk about how it is now, but
I mean, honestly, oh, go ahead, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Honestly, it's something that I still kind of talk about to this day, and any time that I have an opportunity to talk to anybody that's younger than me, or also like I've talked about it in interviews before, about how you had reached out that hand to help us, and how that's not super common. It does happen, but there's a lot of that attitude of like, I'm gonna get mine, and that's all that's important. And I will tell you that the industry is extremely demanding in the sense that like they want you working on you and growing you, and you're only as good as how much you can provide. So it doesn't also like lend to, you're always trying to get on a tour that's above you. You're not really trying to like headline and bring a smaller band with you. That would be counterproductive in a lot of ways. So then it doesn't really lend to like a lot of people helping bands that are smaller than them. So it's really great whenever you see people in bands that are like really trying to help young bands out, fresh bands that need a hand.
We had a lot of help. I mean, obviously Metallica brought us out when they didn't need to bring anybody out, and they were super over the top generous to us. And I just wanted not that the Sword ever even attained, a tenth of that, but I wanted to carry that mentality along, and just help people that deserved it along the way, not just anybody. But there was so many bands, especially as like streaming became more prevalent and record sales just kept dropping and everything like that. Just because that was the way the industry turned didn't mean that there still weren't like tons of bands like people that still wanted to play in a band and like, get in a van and just, leave your life behind and stuff. And it just got harder and harder for bands to do that. Bands that we tried to bring out,
right.
We tried to bring out ones that deserved it. And y'all definitely did. Those are the good old days. That the American Sharks Sword Clutch tour. Man, that was
my goodness,
good times.
That was the tour. I talked to somebody over in the Clutch camp. I can't remember who it was that I was texting, and I was like, "We got to redo that tour. We have to do that lineup again one more time. I mean, it would be epic."
I'm already putting it on my calendar. Here we go. It's done.
It has to happen.
It's already booked. I did it just now.
Yeah, it's booked. It's already booked. Yeah,
it's already booked. I did it just now. I have that many connections. I did want to ask you a question about just from that point of view. I mean, the Sword was really lucky. We were like the biggest little band, or like the littlest big band. But I just kind of wanted to ask you, like, really, like, your thoughts on what it was like at that time, like when Spotify started to really take over, and it was impossible to sell records, and you're just living in a van and just playing your own shows. Like, just really, like, how did it feel? Kind of knowing, you had to have known that it wasn't gonna, go viral or something like that. I'm not trying to sound negative, but I mean, it's just like, it's when you go up against that, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
that you're like driving into the void. Like, how did that feel?
Yeah, it's it's really hard, and actually I think it takes a big toll on you mentally. There's a couple of things, because it's like right off the bat, you work your whole life, and however long that may be. Some people, they come swinging right out of the gates. They're Billie Eilish and they're huge and they're not even 20 years old, and that's amazing. And then you have some people that are, they've been playing for 10 years, slogging, playing the clubs, just trying to get that one opportunity, and then you do. And whenever you get to those moments, it's like, you all of a sudden start to realize that it's not a lot like, it's not really like what you imagine it would be. And I think that probably changes whenever you get to be like really big. Like if you're a band like Metallica, well, then that changes a lot, because you're so big that you're filthy rich. You're really riding in a lot of comfort. And it can really become more of a job in the sense that like it literally pays all of your bills, as opposed to like if you get in this little middle ground where you're like, man, we're doing well, we should be doing more, but it's like I still have to come home and get a job. And for a few years I didn't. For a few years that's all that we did was tour, and we made money and it was fine. But yeah, it's like you all of a sudden realize, with the times changing, you start to realize that it's like it's harder, and it's few and far between to become one of those big bands. And so then it's daunting, and it almost starts to really eat away at you, and you start to feel very hopeless. And that feeling can lead to a lot of despair, and that can manifest in a few different ways. It can manifest in that you're fighting with your band a lot. It can manifest in that you're, drinking and using more drugs to escape. And I experienced all those things. And, yeah, I often argue with myself and get into little fights with myself now, because things have really wound down in American Sharks land. And, it's been years since I've been on a tour. And sometimes I get upset because I feel like I'm not doing what I was supposed to be doing. But then sometimes I'm like, but this is great. Like, this is awesome. I have a great house, and like I have a great wife and my dogs. And so why would I want to go back to all that other shit?
It's funny how, yeah, it's just, it's, I don't know, tours are, it's weird. You get stuck in this mentality of just like, just one more job. Music industry is a lot like organized crime, where you're just like, okay, we'll just do this one more job,
yeah.
and then cut and run. It really is, because like the music industry is completely unregulated. Every band does it differently. Like you said, you got that I got to get mine mentality, and then also just like every band tours differently. Like every band runs their business differently. There's no two bands that do it the same way. And it's like, it's the Wild West, and it's alluring. It's really easy to like romanticize it. I miss touring like crazy, but it is a lot of work. You forget how much work goes into just even one tour. And then like the way that the Sword used to grind, we would tour for like, I mean, off and on, we would go hard for like 5 years at a time. And then like take a year off, and then go really hard 5 years at a time, and then take a year off. And then eventually, like once, some of us started having kids, and the industry kind of started changing, and just, we didn't really feel like killing ourselves on the road anymore. It felt natural. But then, yeah, once you take enough time off, you just get that itch again. You're just like, oh, what if we just did one more tour? And then we were going to. It was going to be great. Primus called us up. We were going to hit the road. We were going to get the band back together. But yeah, we'll see. It's all been postponed, and it's being reworked now and everything. But yeah, I hope it works out, because it was what I did. It was what we were best at. And when because I'm no fool. I know that we're not gonna hit it super big, and then it's just gonna be what it is. But that's kind of not the point right now. Like we did that journey. We found out who we are, and I'm really comfortable with that.
Yeah.
And it's okay to just be who you are in the band that you are. Be aware of that, and not be fooling yourself, or trying to like spend all your money on tour because you got to look like you have a tour bus or something like that. So many bands waste so much money just to keep up appearances, and
right.
It's that's why I like the Sharks. Y'all never did that. I mean, it was just three dudes in a van, and y'all were my favorite band. I wanted to be in the band so bad, but I just knew if like I joined the band, it would ruin it. I was like, no, just don't. Yeah.
I don't think that anybody can be in American Sharks just because of the whirlwind of emotions that circles that band. It's like between myself and Will and Nick, we're so all of our personalities in regards to being in the band can be so polarizing to each other. It's like I can't imagine, like I couldn't even imagine subjecting anyone to that. Like you're gonna hop in the van with us and that's gonna be your biggest nightmare. You're gonna walk away being like, why did I ever do this?
That's where the magic was, though. I mean, there was nothing like seeing you guys play for like 20 minutes and just absolutely destroy the stage, and just nobody could follow you. It reminded me of the early Sword days, whenever, you know, we only had 30-minute sets, and I mean, the Sword through the years, you know, we had a much more dynamic sound, and we could, you know, play for an hour and a half. The set, you know, had peaks and valleys, and we've drawn out parts and stuff like that. But if you have to go after the Sword playing a 30-minute set, like, good luck, you know. And that was that was exactly how I felt watching y'all every night. It was great. I miss those days. Can I tell one of my favorite stories about you? I don't know if you, we can take it out if you don't want, but it was when I was managing y'all, and please feel free to take the reins on this story because you were the one, I wasn't there, but your record had just come out. Y'all were signed to the End Records out of New York, and we sent y'all up to Manhattan for CMJ. For your showcase up there, and the night of your show, about 20 minutes before your set, I was in Austin. I don't think we were on tour. I think I was home on a break, but I get a phone call from the head of the label, and he goes, "Kyle." I was like, "Yeah, what's up, man?" He goes like, "We can't find Roky." I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, him and somebody got in a fight, and he just ran off. And it's like Manhattan at CMJ. There's like, you know, 10,000 people on the street. He's like, he just ran off. They go on in 15 minutes. Can you call him? And I was just like, oh my God, what do I do? And you know, those were back in the, you know, the drinking and the drugging days. And I knew how you guys would get twisted up sometimes with each other or whatever. So I tried to call you. You weren't answering your phone. Trying to call, like, can y'all just please do whatever you want after the show, but please can you just rally for this one fucking show? And you did. Man. Like, I guess you came back, right? Yeah. And I never got a hold of you, but you did come back and you loaded in and played the show and then just walked off like a beast in the night. And tell me what you did after that.
I mean, and also if you want, I can give you more details about
if you want. Yeah, please. That was because it was just like the classic, like, you know, rock and roll story of like, oh God, like what is going on right now? I loved it.
We had gotten into it was such a big deal because it was CMJ. We had signed to this New York label. We were going to be there for a whole week, and this was like the first show. It was at Cake Shop, which I believe is closed down now.
Oh man,
if I recall correctly, I think I saw that it closed down. Don't quote me on that. But so it was, you know, it was at Cake Shop. It was going to be awesome. And there were so many people there. It was like packed, and we were just like, you know, it's funny too to think back on times like that because you never really like as much as you wish that you could. You get these like one opportunities where you've like caught lightning in a bottle and. People and everybody's very energized just by your like playing shows, and that was kind of our time. It was like right then we were lightning in a bottle. It was like we were playing all these great shows. We were on another level in terms of like the way that we were like playing together as a band, and I mean shit was just like fucking happening for us. It was just like boom, 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 and you know, even if you get to a certain point, you'll never be able to get that again. You might still be playing shows where tons of people will come to your shows and all that kind of stuff, but you're never There's that nothing, fresh, like
nothing like that uptick for real.
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. So that was like that moment for us. So we were definitely like, you know, we were having a good time. Our website is called sharkspartyhard.com. So like, you know, we weren't shy about having a good time. And we played in Philadelphia the night before at Kung Fu Necktie with Ruby the Hatchet, actually. And this was like a long time ago. This was kind of like real early Ruby the Hatchet, kind of before they broke, and they were awesome, and we really loved them like right off the bat. But they what was I saying? Oh yeah, so we were in Philadelphia and we were hanging out with another person that was from Austin who had moved up there, and I will leave that person's name out of the podcast because I don't know that they would appreciate me talking about this. But we'd stayed up all night, doing the types of drugs and partying that you might do whenever you stay up until 4 a.m, which was really dumb because we had this big show in New York and we knew this is going to be really important. This week is really important for us. But, classic Sharks, we were like, yeah, whatever. And we just stayed up all night partying. And there was a little bit left of what illicit substance we were using to party at the moment. And there was a little bit left, and it wasn't mine. It was another bandmate's, and we'll leave that one up in the air for which bandmate it is, because I don't know if he would appreciate me telling the story either. But it was another bandmate's drugs, and he was like, hold on to it. And I remember being like, no, this isn't a good idea. And he's like, no, just hang on to it. Just hang on to it and give it to me tomorrow. So I hang on to it, and of course, like, it gets dipped into. And so then the next night, we're on edge because we're just like, we've got these hangovers and we're just like, oh. And so we get to New York. It takes forever to get there, obviously. We get to New York, we get loaded in or whatever we were doing. And all of a sudden I get a text. It's like, dude, what the hell? And he starts getting very upset with me about the state of his drugs. And I'm apologizing. I'm just like, I'm so sorry. Like, let's get you some more. And he's like, how are you going to get more? And I'm like, we're in New York. Like, we've got to be able to, it won't be a big deal. Like, let's figure it out. We're going to get you some more. But he's just like not having it. He's like, no way. He's like super, super pissed off about this. And rightfully so. I was super mad. But since then we also have kind of come to the agreement that we're like, it's a stupid thing to argue about drugs. But, I was
when you're coming down though, it's
yeah. When you're coming down, it's really hard to control those. Like,
yeah.
And you're on the road, and you're just like feeling a lot of stress already. So I'm immediately like in hothead mode. I'm like, well, fuck you, And we're going back and forth. We're arguing through our texting, right? So then I come outside, and our van is parked right in front of Cake Shop. And I come outside. There's people everywhere because the show was pretty packed, and I come outside and I see the person that I'm having this argument with right in front of me, and we just give each other this look, and I mean, it's immediate. We start like physically fighting and we're like slamming each other against the van, and we're like yelling at each other. And I remember so we have each other against the van, and we're holding each other against the van, and we're just like fierce. And at that moment, it's like the head of our label, the entourage of people from the label, our booking agent, which was your booking agent, might I add.
They were all just watching it happen.
They came walking up right then, and they were just like, they're like, what? And we had never met these people before. I think maybe we had met Klein before, but we hadn't met the label people at all. We hadn't actually met. Oh no, we met Andreas one time,
but not the rest
because
of them.
he came, but not the rest of them. So we didn't know any of them. They didn't know. This is like the very first time that they see us, and we're having like a fist fight in front of all these people before our show. And I just leave. I'm just like, see ya. I'm out of here.
Yeah, and that's when I get the phone call from Andres, just freaking out. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, I'm quitting. I'm done. I was like, I can't take this anymore. I don't want to do this. But I was a baby. I was a pretty big baby.
That is also that was like the fifth time you'd quit the band too. That wasn't necessarily a shock when I got that phone call. So that's why I was trying to tell the label. I was like, you know what, just calm down. He'll play the show. It'll be fine. Yeah, but I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I probably quit 5 more times since then too. I quit all the time. I'm always like, all right, done. This is it. This was the last. So I've said on stage before that it was our last show. I'm like, this is it, last show, and I've meant it. And then
I've heard you say that.
Yeah. I told Jimmy, I remember telling Jimmy, I was like, this is really it. This is really the last show, I'm telling you. We were playing with the Spits at Backyard of Hotel Vegas, and I was like, this is it. This is the last one for real. And it was a great show. We played really great, and I was like, this is perfect. We can end like this. But then it was just like, no, you get sucked back in. It's too much fun.
That one offer. You get, all it takes is one phone call. Next thing you know, you're on tour again. But what
There's a
happened?
weird
What
thing.
happened? What happened when you came back though? I really love the rest of this story.
I'm trying to remember. Whenever I came back from New York, or whenever we came back.
Or no, like when you ran off at the cake shop show, you came back and played the show, and then
Yeah. When
what
I fell
happened
asleep.
after that? You did fall asleep.
I'm trying to remember. Oh my god.
So you played the from what I remember, you fell asleep. I'm sorry. You played the show, and then just ran off into the night in New York City. You made it from Cake Shop, which is in Soho, all the way to Central Park, which is a fucking hike. That's like 60 city blocks, and you straight up passed out in Central Park. And I woke up like a bum with a dead phone and no idea where your bandmates were.
Yeah, and I remember I had lost a bunch of money too. Oh man! And I'm going to tell you right now, that is not the craziest. New York City for me was like, imagine like New York City is like a mecca for anybody for many different reasons. There's a lot of reasons why you'd want to be in New York City. For me, I always like glamorized New York City because I love David Bowie, and David Bowie just like fell in love with New York City. It's where he made his home, obviously, and I just had this idea that like to be a drunk punk, and like, but also like to feel like you're important. Like, oh, I got to play this show, and I play in a band, and like, it was really poetic to me at the moment. Like I was like, I'm going to walk around New York City and be drunk and like write lyrics and play cool shows and blah, blah, blah. Even though I didn't really have the clout or the money to like support that lifestyle. So I would get into all kinds of shit in New York. And it was crazy because every time it's like, there's a smell whenever you first get into New York, it's a smell of rat piss or whatever, and so that smell always gives me, and I try to make it to Brooklyn every year, at least once or twice. And now my wife and I go, and we have a friend who's also an old punk. He plays in this band Phobia, and which she played in with him. But anyway, the point is that he's got this little apartment, and he's got this extra room, and it's awesome because it's very New York. It's very pardon me.
Yeah, who has an extra room in Brooklyn? That's awesome.
Yeah, totally. And it's like, it's a punk, it's what a punk's apartment, it's at the top floor of this like old building, and like you go up all the stairs, but it's amazing though. It's just like, it really captures that feeling because it's like right next to the train tracks. It's right in Bushwick. It's like, it's awesome. Anyway, not the point. The point is that every time that I smell New York, as soon as I get there, I smell it. I always have this like range of emotions of like anxiety and fear, all the way to like elation, and that's because I had so many like I had a lot of bad times there. I had a lot of like really good times. I had some like really beautiful times. I remember I fell in love there with a girl, and like just going back to see her would be enough. And then, but I'd always end up getting drunk and like stumbling around the park and passing out and losing money and like losing my ID and whatever. So,
oh man, how did you even find the band? I can't even remember how you guys linked back up, because your phone was dead. I remember you telling me you were walking around trying to ask people to like borrow their phone charger, but you look like you still had like leaves in your hair from sleeping in the park, and people telling you, get the fuck away from me. In New York.
Yeah, and I was yeah. Well, and I was freezing cold because like I didn't have a jacket. I was in just like a flannel, and so I was like freezing, and I'm walking around, and I'm like I can't barely talk because I'm like talking, and I'd be like, please, and everyone's like, get away from me. I had big long hair back then, big old beard. I smelled like booze. And so, it's like, and I'm trying to get people to stop and talk to me and like help me, and nobody will. No, everyone's like, get away from me. And I even went up to a cop, and I was like trying to talk to this cop, and he just straight up was like, do you want me to take you to jail? You want to go to jail? And I was like, nope. And I just kept walking, I knew what that meant. But then I managed to stop some people, and they listened to me, and I was like, listen, I'm in a band. I'm not from here. I promise you. Like I played, I'm here all week for CMJ. I was like, just please. I was like, Google my band. And I got them to Google American Sharks, and they saw me, and they were like, oh, and I was like, I need help, please. I was like, I'm like, my phone is dead. Can I please use a phone charger? And they let me come inside of this place, and it was so funny because I was like so overwhelmed with emotion that somebody had finally like helped me that I just was crying. I was like in there crying. I just called Nick. I remember I called Nick and I was like, help me. And
I'm so cold.
I'm so cold. Yeah, but I felt like it's funny because it actually had a lasting effect on me in terms of like the way that I view people who are homeless or struggling with addiction. You see people on the road and people are like, look at that person. Like I never think of people in that way anymore. And I get the idea that like, then they say this, that you see people that are like people that are homeless have, a lot of issues dealing with the fact that like people won't even like look at them or acknowledge them.
Totally.
And I got that because I was like, man, like I couldn't even get anybody to talk to me at all. They're like, get away from me. And yeah, I was in New York City too. And yeah, I looked like a drunk barbarian. But it was hard. It was like I could, and so whenever somebody finally did help, it touched my heart in a way that I just couldn't contain myself. I was like blubbering.
That's awesome. Great story. I love that one. But yeah, that's the tip of the iceberg with you freaks. Yeah, God, those times were, I'll never forget those tours that we did together. Well, us in Castle with you guys and Clutch and Eagle Claw. When it wasn't it Sharks Eagle Claw? No. That was a different one. No, sorry. There's too many tours.
Yeah.
Oh, Australia. Us and Clowns and you guys.
Oh,
that was a
God.
good one. All across Australia,
Oh.
just getting stupid on birthday cake flavored vodka, and it was. Oh my God, that was so fun. But now you're a country legend again. You've left it all behind. You shed it all. You're getting back to your roots. Yeah. How does that feel?
Oh, it's cool because it's a lot. One of the things that I always kind of hated about American Sharks, that I guess I still do, is that I really love to sing. It's something that I've always loved since I was a kid. Whenever I was in first grade, I sang "All My Exes Live in Texas" a cappella for the talent show contest. Like,
awesome.
I love to sing. I love country music. I always have. Will actually loves country music too, so it was really cool because whenever we would be on tour, we would listen to a lot of country, and he's really good at making like really great country playlists. So he'd always like he'd always kick the jams, and he'd be like, "Yes, this is the fucking killer." But yeah, I really love to sing, and in American Sharks, I don't really sing, and so I never really like. I hated that like the band that I had the most notoriety for being a part of, nobody knows that I sing, and so like I always wished. You always like see people who are like in bands, and everyone's like, "Oh, I want to get so and so to be in the band in this like special song," or like, "I want to get them to like do this thing because they're such a great singer, or they're such a great guitarist," and like I always felt like I was like I can really sing, and like I wish that people don't know that about me.
Yeah.
And so playing country music is like a really great opportunity to like really sing, and I do all my own harmonies on the recordings. Some of the recordings I have friends who like a band that helps me, but I do a lot of home recordings, and I do my own backups and stuff, and like that's I love that.
They're great songs. I really, really enjoy them. You're a great songwriter. You're a great singer. It's been awesome seeing your musical journey because even before American Sharks, you were playing kind of like glam style stuff with Bolt, and I've seen all your like David Bowie and ELO cover bands and stuff. You're a really talented guy, and it's great to just see you not give up because it's impossible to break. Like you said, like, these days you can, come out swinging, and get like a hit out of nowhere. Next thing you know, you're like the biggest band in the world all of a sudden, and then you're kind of like there forever, really. But that right. It's really hard to predict that and stuff. So the fact that like that people even want to still play music and put it out there and everything, like the motivation to do that is so much different than it was when we were coming up in the 90s.
Yeah.
Because there's no money anymore. There's no fame. If it does happen, it's like
right.
The chances are like even more astronomical than they used to be. And And then, you're always going to have like the label that's going to throw their $3 million like marketing budget at their pop star. And yeah, if you throw that much money at something, there will be a reaction one way or the other. But it's great to see just keep going and not give up because you're so talented. It's been a real pleasure being your friend over the years.
First of all, I very much appreciate you saying that. It's extremely flattering. I will also say this, something that I'd love to tell people too. So for the listeners out there, there's one thing that you said to me that, and I've talked about this so many times, but it's like the one thing that you said to me that has stuck with me forever. One of the things anyway, is as soon as we signed our record contract, we were in the backyard of Hotel Vegas. We signed this contract with Andreas. And you shook everybody's hand and you went, "Congratulations, you're a t-shirt salesman." And it's so true. That's the only way to make any money.
It sounds crass, but yeah, it's the damn truth. Yeah, I think I heard that from Mark Morton from Lamb of God. He's the one that told me that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
he was just
so
like,
funny.
"Oh yeah, congratulations, you're a t-shirt salesman now," or something like that.
Well, then
I think he said, I'm a t-shirt salesman. I just happen to be real good at playing guitar."
Well, yeah. It's so funny though, but it's like, then we ran across, one year we were doing a tour. It was like us and Guar and this band called Miss May I, and they're awesome dudes. I mean, Levi, the singer, all of them are sick, but me and Levi kind of broke down a lot because he's vegan and I'm vegan, so we were like eating at the same places. But they make shirts. Like, they have a shirt that's not even a band shirt. It's a shirt of like a cat with like a pentagram, and it says like, I can't even remember. It's some like funny shirt, and they made that design and they sell it at Hot Topic, and they make a ton of money off of that. Like, that's how they make money. And so they make all these like crazy shirt designs, and they support themselves by doing, like, that's their big thing. They're like, we sell a bunch of shirts. They're like, yeah, we love playing music and we're going to be playing music, and they've got a lot of fans and all that. But they're like, they make a bunch of money selling shirts, and it's amazing.
You can't just play guitar anymore. You have to be an actor and a writer and a video editor and anything, and whatever it is, you have to do that these days if you want to be able to play music.
Right.
Not even for a living necessarily, but just to make the most out of it. It ain't the 80s anymore, but it's probably a good thing. The 80s kind of sucked.
I think so.
If you listen to all the, there's so much amazing music came out of there, don't get me wrong, but like so many like huge rock bands, and like you listen to the lyrics of those songs and you're like, this is trash. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know. Like it's fun.
There's a ton. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And like, but it's huge. They sold 10 million copies. Whatever. We'll never figure it out. Well, I'm not going to keep you all day. I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down with me and help me figure this podcast out. And we're going to take it places. This is going to be really fun. I'm just going to hang out and call up all my best buds that we toured with over the years, and we're gonna get to the bottom of things. I love it.
I look forward to doing another one way later down the line where we can tell about how we did another Clutch Sharks.
Oh yeah, let's we'll call it the best buds segment. We'll bring it back. Whenever you get some free time. I know you're a busy man, but thank you again. And if there's anything you want to plug right now, please plug away. And I'd love to play a song if you've got one for us.
Yeah, totally. You can check out on Instagram, it's at Country Legend Rocky Moon. I've got the old YouTube going, the Country Legend Rocky Moon YouTube. I make tons of TikTok videos. If you like watching funny videos,
they are hilarious.
Because I have to. It's all about the exploits and the adventures of the one and only country legend Rocky Moon, country star on the back end of his career, but still stuck in star mode. So check it out and. Play a song. I would love to. I got one. We can play Meet Me in Georgia would be great.
Terry, I don't care which one you do. Just don't do the one that says love. Because it's too much like the Beatles or something. Just do me a regular one. Okay, thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4. Why don't you come meet me down in Georgia? Had a lot of fun hanging around, but I gotta go. don't you come meet me down in Georgia? Well, I know the road is hard, but you've always got a good friend if you can make it on down to me. Got a big show up in New York way, gotta push it on down the line. But what I wouldn't give just to see your smile and please to one more time. We both know in this whole world there ain't nothing good lasts long. But I'ma think of you every time I sing this song. Why don't you come meet me down in Georgia? Had a lot of fun hanging around, but I gotta go. Why don't you come meet me down in Georgia? Well, I know the road is hard, but you've always got a good friend if you can make it on down to me. Well, you can go up north or head out west if you're wanting to roam around. But won't you please meet me south of Tennessee when you're ready to settle down? We can take our time with the finer things and get lost in the city life and do our roaming around in the backwood night. Why don't you come meet me down in Georgia? Had a lot of fun hanging around, but I gotta go. Why don't you come meet me down in Georgia? Well, I know the road is hard, but you've always got a good friend if you can take it on down to me.
Thanks so much for tuning into The Highway this week. A big shout out to Reverend Guitars, Railhammer Pickups, and Earthquaker Devices. If you liked what you heard, you can follow where you can follow, subscribe where you can subscribe, and if you want to go one step further, you can support us on Patreon at The Highway with Kyle Shutt. For a few bucks a month, you can help us keep this party going, get early access to next week's episode, and even get yourself a shout out.